Good morning, students. So here I am to continue with the third chapter of Politics in India since Independence. The name of the chapter is Politics of Planned Development. We have covered few topics of the same chapter in the previous video, which was the first part of the same chapter. In the words of a famous writer, a goal without planning is just a wish. So, like we have discussed here, that how Planning Commission took its responsibility and its maintenance regarding the planning for India, which was independent now, to sort out rather to chalk it out in a organized way. They thought that planning can be done in different cycles, and so they did wish that they would continue with the first 5-year plan. So today we'll be beginning with the first 5-year plan. To continue with the same, I'll just read out the slide for you and then we'll explain. The first 5-year plan, which started from the year 1951 to 1956, sought to get the country's economy out of the circle of poverty. Now, when you talk about the country which had a very tough struggle fighting for its independence from the British rule, then we have discussed a number of times that the economy of the country was hit hard, and people were suffering from many social injustices, and apart from that there was unemployment, there was poverty, there was illiteracy. So the utmost goal of the 5-year plan was to take out the people from the cycle of poverty. K.N. Raj, a young economist who was also involved in the drafting commission, argued that India should hasten slowly. That means that it should take up the pace of a very slow rider, you can say, and its goal should always be intact. For the first 2 decades, as a fast rate of development might endanger democracy. So he argued that if initially we are at a very fast pace, then it may endanger democracy. Why? Because development along with democracy was our goal. I hope, students, that you remember that in chapter 2 we had discussed that how democracy and development are two sides of the same coin. So, in a way, the economists and the leaders of the constitution, the frameworkers, thought that our development should be our goal, but development should be done in such a way that it is sustainable, that it should not endanger democracy, it should not endanger the rights of the people, it should not ask them to, just wrap their tents and move to some other place. The first 5-year plan addressed mainly the agrarian, that is the agro-based economy, including investment in dams and irrigation. I hope you remember that when India became independent, then ours was the agro-based economy. That means most of the people were dependent on agriculture. Just to recap your understandability regarding the sectors of the country, there are 3 sectors: the agriculture sector, which we usually call as the initial or the primary sector, the industrial sector, which is usually said to be the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector, which includes almost like services like tourism, communication, etc. So now when the first 5-year plan was about to get executed, then it was sought that main focus should be on agriculture, and the role was subdivided that irrigation and dams should be its main focus. Agriculture sector was hit hardest by the partition. This we have already covered in the previous chapters, that how the agriculture sector, wherein people were mostly dependent on, was hit hard by the struggle that was going on against the British rule, and it needed an urgent attention. Moving on to the next slide. The plan identified the pattern of the land distribution in the country as the toughest goal. Why? Because that was the obstacle for them. The kind of the division of land in India was somewhat very rough, and it was mainly in the hands of the landlords. And children here in class 12th, you will even study about the land distribution in other chapters. Apart from that, you will also get a hint of this land distribution in the chapter Indigo of English syllabus this year. So therein also you will get to know that as far as the land distribution of our country was concerned, it was very traumatic, and it was so very tough for the people to adjust with it. Why? Because not just one generation, it was from one to another and to another. It went on from generations to generation, and the kind of the distribution was so very rough and so very hard that the people were not able to digest with it. And apart from that, I'm talking on the distribution of land so that you get an idea and you are able to connect with it. I was talking about the role of the landlords. The landlords behaved like men just after God. They rather considered themselves as God, and the people were subjected to them. The people were completely answerable to them. So in such a tight condition, it was very difficult for the government to carry on its work as per their wish. So we were talking that the plan identified that the pattern of land distribution in the country as the principal obstacle, that is the main obstacle in the way of agriculture growth. It focused on land reforms as the key of the country's development. One of the basic aims of the planners was to raise the level of national income, which could be possible only if the people saved more money than they spent. So it was thought that if the national income, the GDP, rises, then automatically the people will be able to save for themselves, and they'll be like continuing in some funds for their future use. Nevertheless, people's savings did rise in the first phase, but altogether in the second and the third phase, it proved as not so very successful. Until the end of the third 5-year plan, but the rise was not as spectacular as it was expected at the beginning of the first 5-year plan. So what we need to remember is that the first 5-year plans, they were started in the year 1951 and they continued till 1956. The main focus of the 5-year plan, the first 5-year plan, was to tackle the agro-based sector, that is the primary sector of our country. We need to remember that at that time, that is just after independence, the people were mainly dependent on the agriculture, the primary sector, for their needs and their wants. It was thought that through irrigation and the dam reconstructions, few solutions can be taken up. Apart from that, the government thought that it would be good if we start solving the problems of social injustice side by side, untouchability, unemployment and illiteracy. But apart from everything else, something very important, the prime, you can say, a solution to the biggest problem in India was poverty, to take the people out of the circle of poverty. Apart from that, we even discussed that when the 5-year plan were formulated and they were about to get executed, then the main problem that came in front was the distribution of land in our country. The distribution of land in our country was the toughest, you can say, rock to be hit hard. And apart from that, we need to remember that the role of the land owners was again a problem. The government was not able to execute its plan the way it wished to, and there were certain young economists who were even involved in the planning commission, who were even involved in the drafting the first and the second and the third 5-year plans, who believed that initially India should be very slow in its pace. Why? Because if the speed will be slow, then automatically it will be able to take care of development and democracy side by side. It should not be that we carry on with the idea of development without considering the democratic outlook of the country. We need to take up the rights of the people. We need to guarantee them their wants, their wishes, and we need to listen to their appeals and their opinions, and apart from that we need to talk on substantial way of development, so that we are able to save in the present generation and we are able to save for the future as well. That is, we are able to like cope up with the needs and the wants of the people in the present time, and we are also able to save funds for our posterity, that is the coming generations in the future. So moving on to the next slide. Rapid industrialization. With this, we begin with the second 5-year plan. As I told you that in the first 5-year plan, the prime objective was to talk on the agro-based economy, because India was an agricultural based economy initially. But with the second 5-year plan, it was thought that industries should be given an equal chance to prosper. Because you must have studied in the previous classes also that when it was thought about agriculture, then there were for example in a family, you say, most of the people in the family were engaged in farming, and it was thought that apart from 3 or let's say a couple of people there, the others who are involved in farming, they are as per of no use. Their outcome, their involvement in the farming is giving no outcome. So it was thought that these people in the family can be employed somewhere else. Okay, I hope that you remember that in class 10th also you have studied in economics a chapter based on development, where there was a very fine example given of such a farming of 1 acre land, where there are 5 people in the family and all 5 people are involved in farming. So it was thought that apart from those 2 people, 3 can be occupied somewhere else. So here in the second 5-year plan, the government thought that if we progress industrialization, if we prosper industries, then automatically some of the rural population can come to the urban lands and they can involve themselves in the industries, and they will prosper. So for you, I'm just reading the slide. The second 5-year plan stressed on heavy industries like iron, steel, etc. It was drafted by a team of economists and planners under the leadership of P.C. Mahalanobis. Before this plan was finalized, the Congress party, which was in power, I hope you remember, passed an important resolution. A resolution would mean a promise to oneself, something that we declare, something that we think on. It declared that socialist pattern of society was its goal. It need to give rights to the government, and the government needs to get involved in the affairs of the people. The government imposed substantial tariffs on imports in order to protect the domestic industries. So the involvement of the government initially was looked upon to be like a real step. Why? Because it removed the tariffs and the conditions for the domestic industries were now better, because they were able to prosper and they were able to compete with industries abroad. Such protected environment helped both public and private sector industries to grow. As savings and investments were growing in this period, a bulk of these industries like electricity, railway, steel, machinery and communication could be developed in the public sector. Moving on to the next slide. It, however, had its problems as well. India was technologically backward. We need to remember that at that time India was not very scientifically strong, so it had its own technological problems as well. So it had to spend precious foreign exchange to buy technology from the global market. The Indian planners found balancing industry and agriculture as a hard task of the day. Critics pointed out that plan strategies from its time around displayed an unmistakable urban bias. That is, that the people thought that with the development of industries, the government is trying to focus itself on the urban elite group and not on the rural population. So now there was a discrimination, now there was a difference that was seen between the urban and the rural population. As far as the government was concerned, its prime role was to keep a balance between the primary sector and the secondary sector. That is, agriculture on one side and industries on the other side. But as far as the people were concerned and the critics were concerned, they said that the government is trying to focus more on industries rather than agriculture. There were also those who wanted to focus on agriculture related industries rather than the heavy ones, like maybe fertilizers. Agriculture based industries would be an industry which makes tools, equipments, fertilizers, pesticides, or the harvesting material, etc. Moving on to the next slide. Decentralized planning. It is not necessary that all the planning always has to be centralized, nor is it that planning is always about the big industries and the large projects. When we plan only about what would be like productive, not what would be giving us much of profit. And when you look from the way of the government's goal is always to provide facilities to the people and not to earn profit. So the Kerala model is in front of us. For your convenience, I'll just read. This is a part that is taken from NCERT. So if you want, you can even recap the whole thing from the book, and afterwards you can even note it down. Why? Because it's very important. Kerala model is the name given to the path of planning and development charted out by the state of Kerala. There has been a focus in this model on education, health, land reform, effective food distribution, and poverty alleviation. So when you talk about development, we can cite the example of Kerala. Why? Because they did not only focus on agriculture or on industries. Their model was drafted in a way that took many things at the same time in its fold. So their basic concern was education, and as we all know that the literacy rate in Kerala is much high as compared to other states in India. Education, health, and distribution of the food. So it is a true fact that health is wealth, and I think in this scenario right now we can very well it sounds very apt that when they considered this health and education to be the prime motto, and distribution of food and the quality of the food that we are eating as their prime motto, so they strongly believe that if the person is healthy, then automatically things can become better and the country's national income will automatically rise. I'm not getting deep into the economics cycle of how it will go, but for your convenience I'll tell you that automatically when a person is hale and hearty, then it works fine. Human resource is considered to be the biggest resource in the country. So from this example of Kerala, we can see that the government's concern now was to take its example and apply it on the entire country. Whether it is health, whether it is income distribution, the gap between the rich and the poor, whether it is the quality of the food that we are eating, or anything else, it has to be taken into consideration if we need to develop. Kerala achieved nearly total literacy, long life expectancy, low infant and female mortality, low birth rates, and high access to the medical care. The state has also taken initiative to involve people in making plans at the panchayat, block and district level. So with this, we'll close today's video, and for the next video there are prime you can say topics, couple of them which I'll be talking on. One is a differentiation, a comparison between the agriculture and the industrial sector. Another is a differentiation between private and the public sector. For this, we will be able to understand more. I'm talking from your side. We'll be able to understand more if we revise what has been done in this video. So for today, you need to revise what are the first 5-year plans, what major goal of the government was involved in it, what problem was in front of them, and how it was tackled. And apart from that, here and there in bits we have studied about the private and the public sector, and what is agro-based economy and what is industrial-based economy. We'll talk on them in large, at length in the next videos. Till then, stay tuned, be healthy. Thank you so much.